Muted over here. Now we'll check the audio. I had my microphone muted. See how that's doing. Muted over here. Now we'll check the audio. I had my microphone muted. See how that's doing. Okay, welcome to the live stream. Made it home safe. Thank you, Woody. Thanks for the sound check. Muted over here now. Let me turn the volume down on that thing. So I watched the chat box here. Let me get that up here running. There we go. I'll try to do it this way so I can look at the camera and monitor the stream over here. Anyways, made it back safe and sound from my spring Smoky Mountains photo trip, pilgrimage, camping trip, you name it. I did everything. Even forgot some food at the house. And I got up to the Cades Cove Campground. I thought I had everything all figured out, but I left my lunch meat, my cheese, and my cookies at the house. It was bad. No cookies. Anyways, yeah, I had a good time. I left out of here on Sunday, last Sunday, which was Easter Sunday, and I got back yesterday, drove back through the rainstorms from Townsend. Pretty bad weather coming back. So I'll give you a quick trip report before we get into this tonight. Now this live stream is going to be a little bit longer than I normally do because I got a lot of things I want to show and a lot of things I want to cover, okay? So if you got to leave, you know, adios, we'll see y'all later. You know, I'm going to run it until the end. I'm not going to worry about who's left at the end. You can always watch it again on the channel if you want to see what's going on. You got any questions tonight? If you put them in the chat box for me, put a QQQ in front of your questions so I can see it. Woody, you're correct. I'll tell you something, Woody. I'm not scared of wildlife, okay? I'm not scared of the bears. You know, I'm not too sure about coyotes, okay? But I'm not scared of fox. I'm not scared of any of those animals, really, okay? The way I look at it, you know, they're probably more frightened of you, okay, than you are of them. At least that's been my experience with the bears. They don't want to be near you, and they like to play hide and seek with you sometimes, okay? And I'll show you a couple pictures here in a little while of what I'm talking about. But anyways, over the past year with the camping trailer, I have made some improvements to it. I've put new tires on it, you know, changed the inside, took the dining room table out, did all that kind of stuff, put some videos up on the channel about that. Let me tell you something. The camper is now working a lot better for me. Okay, I'm very, very grateful to have it. I'm very grateful I didn't spend a lot of money on it. Okay, and I'm going to probably enjoy it more this year. So there's probably going to be more trips on the channel than I have in the past, especially since I am retired this year. And it's really strange to not have to put in a day off of work or a week off of work just to go camping and then have to hurry up and get home and get all your chores done so you can go back to work on Monday. My grass is really tall. It's rained a lot since I was gone. The sun's been out. So I'm not worried about it, okay? I got all next week to mow the grass, okay? Or I may be baling it. I don't know. So, yeah, it's really good to be retired, and it's really good to finally be doing the things that I love to do. And I'll tell you about this trip. For the past 6 months or so, I've been in a little bit of a photography slump. I go through these about once every 4 or 5 years. I'm sure maybe you have too, okay? And this trip right here is what I needed. I needed this trip to refresh, to get me excited about my photography again. Not only did I do wildlife photography, but I did landscape photography. I did some waterfall photography, So I did a whole bunch of different things, okay? And I was really excited. I came home with 3,600 images, okay? And I'll have to admit that about 2,000 of those images were of a bear that I spent 10 hours watching sleep in a tree, okay? Hoping that she would come out with her cubs. I did that for one day. That's a first for me. I've never done anything like that before. I never sat there and watched a bear that long. Yeah, yeah, Woody, I will get on board with the retirement thing soon. Anyways, I told my wife there's going to be more trips this year. And Woody, so I might be coming up in your neighborhood. I'll let you know, okay, in the fall. I'll let you know. I'm making some plans. But anyway, sitting there watching an animal for 10 hours, hoping that she would bring her cubs out of the den with about 25 or 30 other photographers. We were all pushed back. They had cones all around this. I do think that the bear, even though we were back from the bear, the 150 feet or 200 feet that they require, it was about 200 feet really. And it didn't bother us because we all had lenses to handle that. I think that maybe the bear might have been a little bit, reluctant to bring her cubs out for several days. And finally, she did bring them out one evening. I wasn't there, okay, for the event, and that's okay. I've got photographs that I'm happy with and what have you. And we're going to look at some of that tonight in the live stream. So what I have planned, I spent the last 2 hours really trying to produce this show, okay? Trying to get all my ducks in a row, all my audio correct, all my video that I'm going to play correct. So I hope that it works out for me. I'm really trying to concentrate more on the video aspects of when I do my photography, because I really enjoy doing videos, especially wildlife videos. I was able to do video of bear activity this year, the turkeys, the strutting and all that, their behavior. And I just, really enjoy doing the videos. So, yeah, we're going to look at some videos tonight, okay, some photographs. What I want to talk about before I get started here is what gear I actually used on this trip, okay? And I've really pared down my gear quite a bit, okay? I've sold a bunch of stuff, and I finally think I've got it to a kit that I want to keep and stay with. So this is my current gear rundown of what I've got, okay? I have the Z8, of course, okay? And I'm just going to do the bodies first. I still have the D500, okay? I have the Z50 Mark II and the Z6 Mark II. Now, the Z8 is mainly going to be wildlife and some landscapes, okay? The lens of choice for that camera will be the 180-600. I have that lens on there. The D500, of course, is married to the PF, the 500 PF. I don't usually decouple that. There might be some instances that I will try and use the Z8 and the 500 PF together. I like the D500 and the 500 PF for the reach, the 750 millimeter reach. But I think that lens, the 500 PF and the Z8, work very well together. So if you don't need 600 millimeters or, a zoom, a heavy zoom, the 180-600 is a heavy lens, then grab the 500 PF and slap it on the Z8. And you can handhold that all day long. And I think you really got some good photographs with that. The Z50 Mark II, of course, is my street photography, travel, knock around camera. I was in downtown Crossville this afternoon for about an hour to a car show. The screen's giving me a thumbs up. I was downtown Crossville for about an hour doing a car show with the 12 to 28 PZ. And just because you are watching this live stream tonight, I'm going to give you a sneak preview of that video. When I'm finished with the video this evening, I'm going to put a link. It's unlisted till next Friday, but consider yourself honorary members, and you can go watch that video later on of the car show that I did in downtown Crossville today with the Z50 Mark II and the 12 to 28 PZ lens. The Z6 II. The Z6 II has got to be my all-time most favorite Nikon camera that I've ever owned. Well, almost, but I think the D7500 was my favorite. So the Z6 II is in the stable, and it performs very well with the 24 to 120 f4 lens. Okay, I used it extensively this week for landscape photography. I did some pano shots with it at 50 millimeters. So it works very well with this Z6 II. The other lens I have that I'll be using on the Z6 II is the 50 millimeter 1.8S. Okay, that lens on that full frame camera is very nice. It's a sharp lens. I did not take it to Cades Cove with me. I left it at home. I also left the 105 VR f2.8 f mount lens at the house. I didn't take it. I should have, because there were some opportunities for some wildflowers that I missed because I didn't have a macro. I tried to use the zoom and it wasn't happening for me. Okay, so the Z6 II is mainly for landscapes and macro photography and that kind of stuff. Okay, like I said, I really love that camera. It's so easy to operate. The file sizes are very manageable on your computer. It produces a great image. If I was going to just have two camera bodies, it would be the Z8 and the Z6 II. Okay, because I think the Z8 could replace the D500 and the 500 PF. If you bought the if you had the Z8 and you bought the 600 PF, I think that you would have a pretty good combo that could compete with the D500. Okay, the image quality, in fact, I think the Z8 sometimes outperforms the D500 in the noise category. Okay, I've had some really good shots with the Z8 at 11,000 ISO, 12,000. It cleaned up really marvelous. Okay, you can't do that with the D500. So anyways, that's what's left in my kit. Okay, and I have my drones, of course. I've been using those quite a bit recently. So I can't use them in the national parks, but I can use them elsewhere. And I can't use them in the Tennessee state parks either. They don't allow that. I have noticed there is a YouTube channel out there that's been doing some state park photography, and he has been flying his drone. And that is a no-no in the state of Tennessee. Okay. Anyways, I'm not saying nothing to him. One of the park rangers will say something to him one day. They catch him. But yeah, we don't do that here. So anyways, the gear that I used the most on this trip was the Z8, okay, and the 180 to 600. Like I said, I did have the D500 with me. I probably only shot about a couple hundred frames with that. I mostly used the Z8 and the 180 to 600, okay. And then the Z6 II was second with the 24 to 120. Anyways, yeah, so I stayed at the Cades Cove Campground, very lovely campground. I'm going to do a review on that campground pretty soon and talk about that. I want to talk about the battery generator I have for my trailer, how it performed. And anybody who goes to the national park campgrounds, especially in the Smoky Mountains, I don't know about other parts of the United States, somebody could probably tell me about this, but they do not have water at the sites. They do not have water or electric or sewer hookups. Okay, you are basically dry camping. Okay, you better have batteries with you for your trailer or whatever, your camper, or solar panels. I did have my solar panels with me, but they did me no good whatsoever because there was no sun. It was mainly cloudy while I was there. That's where a generator, a small generator, would come in handy. I don't have one of those. If I do a long trip this fall, I am considering getting one of those Harbor Freight generators to go with me. If I get the Harbor Freight 3500, I think it has a 30 amp plug on it, and I could probably power my camping trailer from that, which will allow me to run my microwave, the heater in the camper, and my Keurig or whatever else I might have. Okay, I don't even know. I may be able to run the air conditioner with the Predator 3500. I'm not sure. The trailer is a 30 amp trailer. Because I didn't have a generator, I had my Oops Mega 1, okay, and power pack, and it does really well, okay. I have a Bouge RV refrigerator. It looks like a cooler, but it plugs into the wall or it plugs into 12 volt DC and lets you run this refrigerator. So in my pickup truck, I have a plug, an AC plug in the bed on the Nissan Frontier, my 2023 Nissan Frontier. There's a plug in there that you can plug things into. Hey, Terrell, but you cannot plug this refrigerator. I mean, you cannot plug the battery pack into that, because when the battery pack is charging on AC, it draws 1400 watts. That's about as much as a microwave. The truck won't handle that. The most the truck will handle is 400 watts. So the other option for charging that battery is to plug it into the cigarette lighter, which is a 10 amp, okay? And that's 100 watts. That means it takes forever to charge that battery pack up. So the refrigerator will use, if you leave it on for like 12 hours, it will use about half of that battery pack. So within 24 hours, it'll deplete the entire battery pack. Now this is a 1000 watt hour pack, 2000 watt peak. It will run my microwave, this battery pack will. It will run the Keurig, no problem, okay? So that's why I like having it. I just have to find a different way to charge it when I am dry camping. But I went snooping around the campground general store and some other places looking for an electrical plug to plug my battery pack into to charge it. Because if I can plug it into electricity, it only takes 1 hour to charge it from 0 to 100%. If I try to charge it in my pickup truck in the cigarette lighter, it takes like, I don't know, 2 days. It takes forever, okay? It's not even worth fooling with. So I went snooping around at the campground store, and I looked around by the Coke machines because I knew they would be 110 powered. And there was a plug there that was empty, that wasn't being used, that I probably could have snuck down there with the battery pack, plugged it in, sat there for an hour, and it would have been fully charged. Now this is because we didn't have any sun and my solar panels couldn't help me. But I went to the bathroom, the bathhouse, which they have toilets in there and sinks and a mirror. That's about it. What do you find in the bathhouse? A plug. There's a plug in there. So it was a GFI plug. I tripped it. It's hot. I can tell it's working. So the next morning I got up really early and I took my battery pack. It only weighs like 22 pounds and the electric cord, and I went in there and plugged it in and it started charging. And I just went back to my camper. I was just across the street from the bathhouse. I just went back to my camper and made some coffee. So I came back in about 45 minutes and it was charged up. So I kind of solved that problem over there at the campground. But I don't know what I'm going to run into if I start traveling around the countryside. So I may consider buying one of those Predator generators. They do have a smaller model than the 3500. I think they have a 2000 maybe, something like that, that competes with the Honda 2000. And I have seen them on sale at Harbor Freight, okay, for like 500, 550, something like that. So I may have to get a generator if I'm going to do any more trips, okay. Hey, Mike, let's see, for fall color, consider mid-October at New River Gorge in West Virginia. It was a killer last year. Yeah, that is a definite option. I was really wanting to go to Yellowstone this year. I really wanted to do that this year. It ain't gonna happen, okay? And I'll tell you why. My wife's fixing to have some work done, some dental work done. That's, we don't know how that's going to work out. Plus, I'm dealing with my parents right now who want to move back on the farm. They want to build one of these garden shed homes, like a tiny home, and it looks like that's going to happen. Okay, I was just over there this afternoon. Now, mind you, my parents are 87 years old. Both of them are. And they're talking like they're 57, okay? Anyways, I got a lot going on this summer. I don't think I'm going to make it to Yellowstone. I would love to go. I know a friend of mine is going, her and a girlfriend are going out. I would have loved to gone out there and met with them just for a week or so and done some wildlife photography. I believe it's going to have to wait till next year, but I do have other options, okay? If I just go in the fall, the latter part of September, the first part of October, I was planning on trying to go all the way up to New England, okay, to Vermont, and then work my way backwards through Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia, all them places, okay. I don't know if that might be too aggressive for me, but I do think that I will make it to Virginia, okay. And one of the things that I really would like to do, and I don't know when it's going to happen, but the fall colors is big for me. That's the landscape for me. So I have options, okay? I can go up to, Skyline Drive. I can go up to Big Meadows, Babcock State Park, any of those places. I need to kind of be looking at what I'm going to do and when I'm going to do it. So if any of you on the channel, okay, have any solid suggestions for Ron, okay, either put them in an email to me, okay, and I'm going to type in my email right now, okay, in the chat box. If you don't have it, put them in an email to me, okay, and give me your suggestions, okay. I am open for anything this fall. I normally go to the Smokies in October, but I would really like to experience something different this year and farther away from home. The only reason I used to stay closer to home in the Smokies was because of work, okay? I would only take a week off of work or whatever. I didn't want to spend a lot of time traveling, but I've already checked with my wife, okay? And I already told her that I will probably be gone for a couple weeks in the fall. And she's cool with that, okay? I may take the camping trailer and I may truck camp. I'm just not real sure. Just depends on where I go and what I'm going to be doing, okay? Truck camping would be a lot easier on me if I had been smart and bought a little bit of a taller camper top, okay? I didn't do that. I wasn't even thinking about that. But thinking it all over again, I would love to have a mid-top, I guess they call it a mid-top camper on my truck. That would allow me to sit up straight in my bed. Right now when I sit up, I got to bend my head over, I can't, my head touches the top of the camper top, so it's kind of a bummer in there. Anyways, any suggestions, send them to me in an email. Right there's my email. And I'd love to hear from any of you that have suggestions on anything between Tennessee and Pennsylvania, okay? That would be a doable trip for me, okay? So yeah, that's my fall trip plans. Anyways, we're gonna move right along with the show, what I got planned for tonight, and let's see what else I got over here. I got notes everywhere. Okay, yeah, we're gonna get right into the photography from the Cove, and I had a really good time. So let's move right over here. Let me see what I'm going to do first. We're going to talk. I'm going to show you a video first. Let's hope I got this right, okay? And I'm going to do a landscape photograph. Now, this location, I cannot accept credit for the location. I was told about this location from a friend of mine who had actually shot from this location the day before. And when I seen the photograph, I said, I just got to make this photograph for myself, okay? Because it was a cool looking scene, okay? So this was the next morning after I started there. It was like probably Monday morning, I think. And let's see if we can get... So a lot of people come to Cades Cove to see bear, okay? And wildlife. You mainly see bear, turkey, and deer. But, they're missing out if they're just driving around looking for wildlife. These old structures, these old churches, these old cabins that are here in Cades Cove are very photogenic. And it's good to always find a different perspective or composition to produce a photograph that looks really good. Does that make any sense? Probably not. I mean, the other day, my first day here, I spent 10 hours out in a field over here where this bear is with about 20 or 30 other photographers. And what an experience that was. I've never sat for that long and watched one animal for that long. And I took about 2,000 pictures. Oh, excuse me. I took about 2,000 pictures. So that was kind of amazing with the Z8. Anyways, after that, a lot of the photographers were hanging around waiting to see if she would bring her cubs out. And I'm sure that's important to them to capture that if they've never captured it before. But the one-day experience with the bear was pretty amazing. And I came here to do other types of photography also, so I have branched out and have done some landscape photography. It's amazing when you pull out a big tripod out of your vehicle and a big camera and a big lens, how many people all of a sudden want to know if you're professional. I'm not a professional. I tell them that. I said professionals get paid for what they do. I don't get paid for this. I just do this for my own hobby. Anyways, they'll ask me if I'm on social media, and I'll give them a business card and, you know, tell them, sure, go ahead and send me a friend request or, you know, whatever. I met several photographers that way this weekend. Anyways, I'm going to have my frosted flakes and pack up and keep on moving, see if I can find some other compositions. So that was the morning I shot this photograph that I'm going to show you, okay? And with the rain over there and the inversions that were going on, there was a lot of atmosphere every morning until the sun poked out and burnt most of the atmosphere off. Yes, Joe, I had a friend of mine last year that did this trip to Vermont, New Hampshire area, and him and his wife did it first class. They flew up there and they stayed in Airbnbs and what have you. Yeah, it would be quite a drive up there, probably just a little bit shorter than going to Yellowstone. But yeah, that's definitely an option, but I don't know if I'll make it up that far or not. It's something I'd like to try sometime. Well, let me show you this photograph real quick that I produced while I was eating my cornflakes, my frosted flakes. And as you can see here, the church is back in the trees, and the sun is coming up through the clouds on the right-hand side. Thus, you see the treetops there just above the church lit up just a little bit, and of course the cloud inversion. And it's really cool to see something like this. So I'm really grateful for my friend Bill for alerting me to this composition, because I really have never looked back from Hyatt Lane at this church, okay, back in the woods. Now this is the Methodist church on the Loop Road, and those that go to Cades Cove or been to Cades Cove knows the church I'm talking about, okay? It's just before you get to Hyatt Lane. Mike knows where it's at, I'm sure. So it was pretty cool in the clouds over there. The only thing was it was no clouds in the sky. Would have been nice to have a little drama up there, but that's okay. We got a little blue sky going on up there. This is 9:20 in the morning, so it's still pretty early. Anyways, yeah, so landscape photography is really in my roots, my heart. Okay, let me see what my comments are going here. Lisa Brogdon says, my great-great-great-grandparents are buried in the Primitive Baptist Church in the Cove, and my great-grandmother was the last of her siblings to be born there in 1905. My roots are deep in that area. Well, that's really good to hear, Lisa, and thanks for joining the live stream tonight. I was at the Primitive Baptist Church Monday morning, early, okay, when this atmosphere was going on. I was able to go around on the sidewalk where all the graves are, and I was noticing how some of them are really, really old, okay? And I was able to do a really nice photograph of the Primitive Baptist Church. The Primitive Baptist Church at Cades Cove is my favorite location for a number of reasons, okay? I just love that church. I love the where it's at. It's kind of isolated. There's not a lot of people that visit that back there. There's also, you know, a lot of wildlife activity in that area, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. Thank you, Lisa. Woody, check out Bath, Highland Counties, the Blue Ridge Parkway, Skyline Drive for fall colors and waterfalls in Virginia. I will, Woody. You know, I was talking to some friends of mine from Winchester, Virginia. I just met this weekend, and Lynn knows them really well, Lynn Alexander. If you get a chance, check out her Facebook page, Lynn Cox Alexander. She's got a lot of good wildlife photography on there. Her and I photographed quite a bit together. Anyways, I met this nice people from Winchester, Virginia, and they were just bragging on about Big Meadows. Now, I have been on the Skyline Drive probably back in 2017, I think it was. My wife and I took a Thanksgiving vacation from work, and we went up there in the wintertime. There wasn't a soul there Thanksgiving week. In fact, the toll booths were closed up. We got on it for free. We didn't have to pay. And it was an interesting drive, okay? We spent a whole week coming down Skyline Drive, the Blue Ridge Parkway, down through Boone, into Asheville, and over to Gatlinburg. So it was a pretty cool drive. And I really enjoyed it. We spent 2 nights in Boone. We went to Blowing Rock. We went to Grandfather Mountain, Linville Falls, Crabtree Falls. It was a pretty cool place. What's Terrell's I have really? Terrell has relatives buried in the cove too. Also, a couple of the cabins that have survived were built by relatives. I love those cabins in the cove. They are so cool, okay? I have a photograph in here somewhere. I don't know where it's at. Think about it. There was a barn that's no longer there. It was there in 2000 when my wife and I visited Cades Cove on a vacation from Georgia when we lived in Georgia. And there was a barn that sat in just, I think it's before you got to the Tipton place, okay, that sat off. It was a hill that you went up and it's real steep going down the other side. And there's a sign there that tells the bicycles they got to walk down that hill. But it's on that side, and it was between the Dan Lawson place and the Tipton place. That barn is not there any longer. But I have a photograph of that I made on my printer back in 2000 in a frame. That is it. I don't even have the original file that I can reproduce that, okay? So it's pretty amazing, and that barn is gone. But they really try to keep the structures up down there in the cove. They've been doing a lot of work to the Tipton place. I know they replaced the roof on it, I think about a year ago. They're working down at the visitor center now in the back, trying to fix that that trough up, the water trough that powers the grist wheel, the grist mill. They've been down there working on that for I think all year since last fall, or anyway since January. Let's see what we got here. Lisa says that the Tipton cabin was built by one of my great uncles. Okay, that is a pretty cool place to stop and see with that cantilever barn. I tried to do some nighttime photography there back in November, and to light up the inside of the barn with different lights, but I failed at that miserably. But I learned, you know, I couldn't do it. I needed to practice more or watch some more videos on how to do that nighttime photography. Anyway, where's the bears? It's coming. Anyways, yeah, Greg Wilson wants to know where the bears are. Yes, Michael, I heard about Ricketts Glen. Is that the one that's got like 30 waterfalls in it or whatever? Okay, we're going to move over to the bears, okay, to satisfy Mr. Wilson here. And what I'm going to do is show you, let's see here. Here we go. This was Mindy. They called her Mindy. She came down to go get a drink, and she's wet, obviously. She's climbing back up the tree where her den is. Okay, this tree is right next to the road, and you see she's looking inside there right now, checking on her cubs. We didn't know how many she had at this point. Like I said, this is in the afternoon, late afternoon, and we waited all day for her to move. She mostly laid on that branch where her butt is right now. We called her a lazy bear. I was using the Z8 with the 180 to 600 to video this. We called her a lazy bear. Anyways, that was one video I did of many of her doing pretty much the same thing. She mostly spent a lot of time on that branch and what have you. And I got there at Cades Cove on Sunday afternoon, and I spent, I heard about her from Jack and Lynn, my friends here in Crossville. They were over there with me in their camper. They had told me about her. So Monday morning early, as soon as I was there, I was number 5 in line at the gate. As soon as I got in, there were 3 of us that went across Hyatt Lane to park, okay? And they were very strict about the parking over there. But I got there very early, was able to park. I walked up to the tree where the volunteer was already there. The volunteer was already there before us. And Lynn showed up. So Lynn brought her chair, and I told Jack, her husband, I said, I'll bring her back with me later. And we sat there from 7:30, 7:45, 7:30 until about 5 o'clock, okay, 5:30. And I was out of memory card. I was out of batteries. You know, I couldn't shoot anymore. And it didn't look like she was going to, come out with the cubs. So, you know, I didn't wait around, neither did Lynn. Now, Lynn went back the next day on Tuesday, and she was there on Wednesday, and the cubs still hadn't come out until Wednesday evening. I had other photography I wanted to do, so I, you know, got the bear pictures I wanted, and I did get quite a few pictures of her. And I was able to see some other bear, and I'll show you some pictures of those in a minute later in the week, okay? Woody, I cannot, it must have been, I didn't see it come on the screen, but when I do video on the Z8, I'm in AFF mode, and I think I'm in wide area small. Okay, I don't have the camera with me right here. Well, maybe I do. Here, let me get it out real quick. I can tell you what focus mode I was using. It was not eye detect. Now, one of the guys was telling some lady about the black bears being hard for the focus systems of the camera to pick up the contrast to focus on them. I didn't find that a problem with the Z8. The Z8 was picking up the focus fine, but he was telling her to crank up her ISO and, you know, to brighten the screen and get the focus and then blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. So on my movies, it's set up for AFF and AFF single point. What do you think about that? I did not have it set for small. It's set up for AFF single point, okay? So, yeah, that's what I was using for that bear. So I didn't have eye detect going. I don't shoot with eye detect very much on the Z8. with my birds and stuff. I'm not a bird and flight person. I know you are, Woody, but I usually just use the single point for perched birds and stuff and handle the focus on my own. That's the way I do it with the D500. I use single point on it also. Lisa says she lives about an hour outside the cove, so I'm up in there all the time. Lived here my whole life. I've probably seen you in there, Lisa. Michael, with 200 photographers doing the massive workshop next week, I hope the bear moves. The bear is gone. She has taken her cubs and she's gone up in the woods. She's not there anymore, okay? In fact, on Thursday, I think she left on Tuesday evening. Wednesday, there was still traffic looking for her, but on Thursday and by Friday morning, the cones were still out, but the traffic had changed tremendously. Let me tell you how bad it got Tuesday evening, okay? Not Monday, Tuesday, because Monday I stayed still for 10 hours. On Tuesday, after I had dinner, I came back around the loop road. When I got back to the Elijah Oliver cabin, which is back by the Abrams Falls Trailhead Road, traffic was stopped right there. It took me 2 hours to get from the Abrams Falls Trailhead Road to the Dan Lawson place. 2 hours, okay? It was terrible. I couldn't believe it. Never been in a bear jam so long. And what it was, there was no help. There was very little volunteer help for some reason on Monday, on Tuesday, and the rangers were, things are changing over there. Okay, there's not as much help. I heard that they laid off. I think Michael told me this. They laid off nine park rangers over there. Okay, and I was over at the Elkmont Campground on Thursday. Okay, and they haven't opened the main campground as of Thursday. Only the one section behind the check-in station was open, and I questioned the guy why it was not open yet. He said because they don't have enough help to keep the bathhouses clean. That's what the ranger told me. They're short-handed. They were hoping to rectify that fairly shortly. So this is a concerning thing for us people who are travelers, okay, and stay in national parks. You may find that some of the facilities are not at 100%, okay? Like Elkmont. Elkmont is not at 100%. So hopefully they've opened it up. And on Friday, because he did mention something about Friday. I don't know what he was talking about, but it's pretty late in the season for that campground to be opening. As far as I know, Cades Cove was at 100%. Open. There was no closures on the campground itself, and nothing else seemed to be affected at the check-in station or the campground store. But I did notice that they had fewer volunteers out on the loop road. Okay, and from what I hear, they're overworked. Yeah, Mindy looks soft and cuddly. Ha ha ha! I doubt it. You get between her and them cubs, you'll find out how cuddly she is. It's amazing how people are. Let me show you a couple photographers here, okay, that I seen. First off, let me tell you about this picture. The BBC was there. The BBC was there filming this Mindy, okay. From what I heard, they were there about 15 days before she came out. Before I got there, they were scheduled to stay into the second week of May, waiting for these cubs to come out. That camera right there, that guy's playing with, is a remote camera. They were sitting in a van. They had the best parking space there. They saved them a good parking spot. They were sitting in a Jeep Grand Wagoneer, remote controlling that camera for a film, for their BBC wildlife films. Now, if you've watched them before on TV, okay, they have really good wildlife photography. If you ever catch this episode where they were watching for this bear and these cubs to come out, you'll know how they captured the footage now. he was setting that up and left, okay? And then we had these other photographers show up, like this guy right here. I was really tickled. I was so tickled I took his picture with my 180 to 600 because he had his phone in one of those folding things that people have their phones in, and he was taking a picture of the bear, okay, with his phone. And then these ladies right here, they showed up on the other side, these photographers, and I was so tickled because when I zoomed in on this picture when I got home, I was just looking at their expressions of how happy they were. And look here, the flash went off on the lady's phone while she was taking the photograph. But anyways, they were so happy to see the bear. Now, those are not iPhones. Those are Samsung phones. You can tell by the lenses on them. So they do take a really good picture, okay? Those cell phones do. But I guess I got tickled at watching them come up there to take their photographs of the bear. It was pretty cool. Let me show you some bear photographs I was able to capture. Lisa, I have been there during wild cherry tree season, but it was a long time ago, okay? Normally in August when that happens, I'm working, okay, and cannot get off of work. But definitely might try to make a trip over there when this is happening, you know, the cherry trees and what have you. I hear it's pretty spectacular. The bears climbing trees all the time over there. Anyways, let me show you some bear pictures, okay? So this little fella right here, I caught him on Friday morning. Now, I left Cades Cove at Friday at 11 a.m. to come home. I hooked up my camper and left. I went in early Friday morning and rode a couple laps around Hyatt Lane looking for things, saw some turkey, and that was about it. Didn't see any bear. So I decided to come around and park on Sparks Lane, and not the big creek crossing, but the other creek crossing where the no parking is on one side and it's got a little pull off on the other side. So I pulled off over there and parked and walked the service road, and I wasn't even 200 feet from the truck, and this little bear was in the woods eating. Now, this is a yearling. He was by himself, or she was by himself, and it was really funny. Look how the nose is all dirty. She's been rooting around like a pig in the ground, you know, getting something to eat. So it's pretty cool to see this one. And then later, okay, I walked about a mile down that service road and I came back. And then later I seen this other one. Okay, let me get this right here. Oh, no, this is the same one. As I was coming back, it spotted me and it was like, hey, what are you doing coming back? And it had jumped up on this log, and it was pretty cool. But this was with the D500 and the 500 PF, handheld. The settings, let me see where I got the settings wrote down somewhere. Where did I write them down at? I wrote them down somewhere. Huh. Well, oh, here it is. Well, I had them written down. I can't find them. I bet I tossed it over here in the garbage can. I did. Let me get it out. I put it in the garbage can by accident. So this first photograph right here, let me back up one. This one right here was shot at 1/1000th of a second, f5.6, and ISO 3600, okay? The next one was the same, except it was ISO 4500. And as you can see, it cleaned up pretty nicely with the D500 and the 500 PF. The 500 PF does a really wonderful job. So I took that photographs with the D500, okay, of those two bears. Those are probably the two best bear photographs I got. I got a lot of bear videos. I'm not going to show you that because I'm going to do a whole Cades Cove video later on. Let me look at that and see, Woody. He said the bear on the log looks a little soft. I don't think it does. It is the overall scene. It was kind of foggy, a little bit foggy in the morning, so you may be getting some atmosphere there. But no, I don't think it looks soft. I think it looks pretty sharp right here. I think it might be just because the atmosphere where it's at. Chomping sounds. Anyways, yeah, so that was all the bear photographs that I was able to capture. And that is more than I've ever done before. In the past, I have struggled with bear photographs because of the distance they were from the road or wherever you were, and I just wasn't able to get a good bear photograph, okay? But I'm very grateful for the information that was given to me on Sunday that was shared with me about Mindy, and of course, just driving around and learning from other photographers on what to look for and what have you. I wouldn't sell that D500 either, Greg. I've considered it, but I'm not going to do it, okay? I'm going to probably lend mine out. Lynn Alexander, she has a D500 that failed on her. And the only thing I can explain is, I don't know how many shutter clicks she had, but she was on vacation in Florida and one of the buttons quit working on the back. And then another button quit working. Finally, it got down to the point where none of the buttons were working. She couldn't get into the menus and change anything or what have you. It was still taking photographs, I believe, but she sent it in for repair. And Nikon has had it for, I think, well over a month now, okay? They're waiting on parts. I don't know what that means exactly, and I don't know what parts they're waiting on or where they're coming from. But she's a little concerned because she's got a trip planned for June to Yellowstone with her friend, and the only camera she's got is the D850 and the D7200 and maybe the D4. Okay, she doesn't want to use the D4. So I told her last weekend if her D500 hadn't come back from repair yet, that I would lend her my D500. Okay, and she could take that with her to Yellowstone. So, hey, Rodney, tornado warnings. Holy moly. This has been some crazy. I will accept your explanation. Thank you, Woody. Hey, when I get done, for sure, I'll go into Lightroom and look at it, okay? Or maybe I'm going to be in Lightroom in just a little bit. We'll look at it in there for sure and make sure, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty sharp. You know, the denoise software in Lightroom does really good, so... Yeah, them tornado warnings are scary, especially the nocturnal ones. I hate tornado warnings that happen at night. I want to see it head on, okay? I don't want to be sleeping when one comes through. So, anyways, yeah. So later on, I did some landscape photography, and I'm going to show you something of that right now, okay? I did a really cool... what's it, Greg? So I have two D500s and a D850, though I have not used them much since I have been using my Z6 II. Yeah, so the Z6 II is pretty cool. Are you doing, I guess you're doing wildlife with that, are you, Greg? You know, I attempted wildlife but with my Z6 II, but, you know, having the Z8 is just much easier using that camera than it is the Z6 II. I've done sports photography with the Z6 II and a 70-200. Anyways, yeah, so later on in the week, I took a trip up to Gatlinburg from Cades Cove. I wanted to go check out the chimney tops in that area for fall. You know, if I might go up there in the fall time. I wanted to see if the hurricane had hurt very much up in that area before I made any plans, and I wasn't seeing any damage. I went on the Roaring Fork Motor Nature Trail, which is pretty cool to go on if you are ever in Gatlinburg, but there were a lot of people on there. So school apparently is out this week in some of the northern states. Ohio, I've seen a lot of Ohio cars with kids. Michigan, Alabama was there. So I think Alabama was mostly adults, but the kids, there was children there, a lot of children this week from out of state. Okay, so they must be on break right now for Easter. They do Easter differently. Down here in Tennessee, They call it spring break, and it's mostly in March, okay, when they do their break. Because we get out of school here in May, like the second week of May, school ends. Anyways, let's go look at a video I did on doing a pano. Let's see what Greg says. Yeah, 180 to 600. Have not pulled the trigger for a Z9 or Z8. Well, if you do, Greg, my suggestion to you, and most people will probably say the same thing, I would definitely look at the Z8 over the Z9, only because of size and weight. There is some complaints about the Z8 and battery capacity. I wouldn't worry about that, okay? Just carry a couple extra batteries with you. I shot 200 frames, 2100 frames, and 4K video. A lot of 4K video that day with Mindy, and I went through like about a battery and 3/4, okay? Almost 2 batteries. I filled up my 256 gig CF Express card, and one time while shooting video, it was a really long video, about 4 minutes, I got a hot card message. And I'm using the ProGrade, I'll show you here, I'm using the ProGrade cards. There's a photographer down in Chattanooga that's shooting the Z9, and he swears by the Angel Bird cards, okay? I think they call them Angel Birds, okay? But I've been using the ProGrades. I'll show you which one I got here. This is the one I've been using, okay? This card right here. I've got 2 of these, and then I've got one that's 128 gigs that I use in the D500. But I use this one here in the Z8, and I also have placed one of these in my Z6 too. And if you didn't know this, okay, the D500 will accept CF Express cards with the latest firmware upgrade. Let me get that a little closer so you can see that, okay? So I still have SD cards, but the CF Express cards, to me, that's the way to go. In fact, probably this fall, along with that generator that I might purchase for my camping trailer, I might pick up a couple more CF Express cards because they are becoming more affordable now. Let's jump over here real quick and let's look at those, okay? See how much they are. I'm gonna go out on the B&H site because that's just the one I use for price comparison. And let's see CF Express B cards. So SanDisk has one here, okay? It's a 512 gigabytes for $191, okay? So yeah, they're becoming a little more, like here, look at this. Here's a 2-pack of what actually, those are actually faster. Those are 3400s. Yeah, so the ProGrade Digital 2-pack right here is they're $150 each, $307. That's pretty good. Okay, it's not bad. Let's see what that one called the Angel. I think it's called Angel Bird. Let's look it up and see. This guy shoots sports. Yeah, here we go. He lives down in Chattanooga. It's Ray Saldano. He's a friend of David Saylor's and Phil. Let's see. So they've got a 512 gigabyte, okay, CF Express Type B for $180. Now he swears by them cards, okay. So yeah. So that one there is $180, and let's see what the ProGrades are that I got. Let's see if they still got those. CF Express, yeah. ProGrade. So here's a 2-pack of the 128 gigabytes, which would be good for the D500. They are $180, which puts them at $90 a piece. Okay, that's the same speed as I got. Or you can get a single right here for $99.99. And let's see what else I got. There's golly, there's a 2 terabyte. If you want a bunch of speed right there, $350 a piece. They don't seem to have the one I have anymore. Okay, Let me go look here. Let me see when I bought this. Let me log into my B&H account. And about to divulge all my secrets here, what I've ordered from B&H. 2024. I think I bought them in 2024. Here they are. Pro grade digital. Pro grade digital 256 gigabyte cards. They were 200. A 2-pack was $245. They don't have them anymore. But I bought the 2-pack was $244.79. So that was $122 a piece. That's not bad. But yeah, I did get the hot card, okay, with that. And just on a really long video. So I was shooting 4K. I was shooting 4K. Let me get back here a second. Boom. I was shooting 4K 100 frames per second, okay? And the only reason I did that is I like to slow my footage down in DaVinci Resolve to get more of a slow motion feel for it. Rodney, with a CF Express card, the D500 has a bottomless buffer. Exactly, okay? Have I met up with Phil? Are you asking me that, Greg? If so, the answer is yeah, I've met Phil. I've been with Phil before. You know, Rodney, I had an XQD card, and that was one of the reasons I never bought a Z6. Okay, when the Z6 was out, it only took an XQD card. Okay, and in order to do that, you had to buy a reader because you didn't have one. If you were an SD card reader guy, and I didn't have one, so the Z6 was going to cost me another $300 to get into it. Okay, well, when the Z6 II came out and they had the 2 slots, the XQD and the SD, I said, well, I'll just get the Z6 III and save that $300 and put it towards the Z6 III, which has better everything, you know, than the Z6 did. And it worked out better because the XQD cards. But then the D500 had an XQD slot until they did a firmware upgrade. So now the D500 will read the CF Express cards. So I have an XQD card here somewhere. Okay, I guess I got it as a backup. I think it's 64 gigabytes. Okay, that I don't use. All right, I don't use it anymore. I'm using the CF Express B cards, and I do have quite a few SD cards still left. So in case of an emergency, I need to back up or whatever, then yeah. Now I have a thing that I'm using. I don't think I have it in here. I'll show you. I bought a pouch. I did it I think I mentioned this in an earlier live stream. I bought a pouch, and it goes on your belt. It's made out of canvas or whatever you call it. It's black, you know. But let me go get it real quick. Just hold on for a second, because you want to see this. If you're out in the field and you need to carry some extra batteries with you, let me go over here and get it. Okay, I'm coming back. So let me show you here, okay? I bought this online. It's made by a company called, I think I bought it from Amazon. It's like $8 or $9. I think it's made by a company called JJC. And they got a lot of cool things, JJC does. They have this other thing too. I'll show it to you in just a few minutes. I got it laying right here. But what's neat about this is it'll hold 2 batteries. And it'll accept the EL15Bs, okay? And you can put 2 batteries in there. And in the top right here is a little zipper pouch. And you can put an SD card in there or a CF Express card and zip that up. And then this has got a Velcro belt loop. Put this on your belt. So you don't have to carry your batteries. You don't have to carry your batteries in your pocket. and there's no chance of them falling out of your pocket, okay, if that's ever happened to you. So I've got this to do that with. When I'm hiking out in the woods, you know, even when I was walking the other day, you never know what you're going to come across and need an extra battery, especially if you're shooting video with the Z8. So I got that. And then this is my normal pouch. It's made by Three Legged Thing. It's just a Velcro pouch. It's got a slot back here you can put your business card in, so there's your name and stuff in case you drop it somewhere. And then this thing holds a ton of stuff, okay? Look how many cards you can put in this, okay? There's the XQD card right there, okay? There it is. That's what came with the D500. This is the other CF Express card, okay, that I usually use in the Z6 II. Right now, I'm using one of these cards right here in the Z6 II, which is a Lexar, okay, that size right there, 64 gigs. I didn't have I didn't have this CF Express card in there, and the reason why is I was carrying it with me for the Z8, okay. Like the day I was shooting 2,000 pictures of a bear and video, and I filled up one of these cards. Luckily, I did have this with me, okay, but I didn't go get it. It was kind of the end of the day and ready to go. I keep extra things in here, like these SD adapters, like this size, okay, that lets you put the micro in there. And the reason why is my Osmo Pocket 3, my Action 4, and both of my drones use this micro SD card, okay? Now you can use the micro SD cards in, you know, with the adapter in a camera in a pinch if you need to, okay? It's just one more connection point where the micro SD connects into this adapter for failure, okay? One more connection point. But, you know, I have those in here. I also carry one of these in my wallet, okay? Ask me why. Because sometimes when I'm out with my action cameras or my drone and I need to transfer that files or something to somebody else or somewhere else, there's been many times I didn't have this adapter card with me. And not every device will read a micro SD card, but everyone will mostly read the SD card. So I carry one of those with me too. So I keep this little pouch. It's kind of handy. It stays in my camera bag. And then I have, oops, I got the SD card out here. Oh, that's for the Z8. Better, yeah, don't want to lose that. Okay. I'll put that right there, so put it back in the camera. So because I plan on getting more CF Express cards, I bought a different case, a hard case made by JJC, another company, and it was on Amazon. It's sealed, it's rubberized, it's got a rubber seal around it right here, see that? And this will take 6 CF Express B cards, okay, in it. I haven't used it yet, all right? But if I just wanted a place to put my CF Express cards, then they'll fit right in there like that, okay? So it doesn't take the regular SD cards, just the CF Express B cards is what it's made for. So I think it was like $8 too. So if I get a collection of CF Express cards, normally what I do, and I haven't done that here, is I will number these, okay? I will use a paint pen and put a number on them. And here's a pro tip for you. If you got to number your cards to keep it from rubbing off, put, you know, if you're going to paint a number on there or use a magic marker or whatever you might be doing. I don't know if you can write on the back of these or not. Let's have a look. No, I don't think so. You can't. It's all metal. But if you're going to write the number on there with something, take a small piece of Scotch tape and put over the number. Then it won't rub off, okay? That's a pro tip for you. And I didn't charge you anything for that. You can use that all you want. Let me show you one here that was like that, okay? I've done that on my drone cards, little mini cards too. This one here, I painted a number 3 on it, okay? And it's got a piece of Scotch tape on it. I don't know if you can see it right there. You can kind of see the edge of it there by the E in Lexar, but it's got a piece of Scotch tape on it. And that keeps that number from rubbing off of there. Pretty cool idea, okay? Don't ask me how I figured it out. I just did it one day. So there you go. You learned something new tonight. Greg, too funny. I made a pouch almost like that in leather and engraved my logo on it. That's pretty good. We should sell those, okay? Yeah, I mean, I've made things before, but anymore, if you look around on Amazon and what have you, okay, you can pretty much find somebody from China's already made one, okay? And most of these little trinket type things are pretty good. I got this other case here. I've had it for a long time too. This one's metal, okay? It's aluminum. And this one here will only hold SD cards, okay? There's some more SD cards for you. See that? Who keeps texting me? Oh, I don't know. Anyways, if you'll notice, on the it'll hold a SD card and a micro SD card. In fact, if you look, I'm going to take one out here for you. If you look behind this one, there's a micro SD card behind it. So this does double duty. You can put micro SD cards in there and SD cards in there. So these SD cards here are cards that I've used in the past with Z6 II, D7500s, what have you. Them Sony Tough cards, they're kind of pricey, okay? I've got a couple of them. So I got plenty of cards. I just need to learn to carry them with me when I need them, okay? And yeah, that brings me up to another thing. There's several things you need to check before you leave the house. Number one, batteries. Number two, SD card. Don't assume there's an SD card in your camera, okay, before you leave. Always get in there and check it. Let me catch up on the comments. Kath is asking me, do you download your cards at the end of the day? What a wonderful question. Okay. Yes, I do. And what I normally do, I carry my computer with me. I have a MacBook Pro 16-inch, and I did have that with me this time. I carry a couple of these SSD Samsung drives. This one here happens to be a T9. Okay, I have a T7 also. I don't know, this is 4 terabytes or whatever it is, SSD card. And what I'll do is, being that I'm shooting with 3 different bodies at times, I try to download all 3 of them cards onto this SSD drive. And I will usually create a folder for each camera body and each day. So if I'm downloading photographs from the Z8, I will create a folder that says Z8 and today's date, and I just copy all those files onto this SSD drive. The same if it's the D500, I'll put D500 and the date, and I'll copy that into a separate folder. And then the Z6 II. I try to keep all those separate, and I do not load them into my Lightroom catalog because my Lightroom catalog files are not with me. They're at home on my network attached storage device, my NAS. So until I get back home, I can't really import them into my Lightroom catalog, but I do copy them onto here. Now, there's 2 schools of thought about what to do with your card after you load them onto the SSD drive. Do you leave the files on the card and keep shooting? Or do you erase the card, format the card, and shoot the next day? Me, what I do is I format the card and keep shooting the next day, okay? Except on this trip here, I actually imported a few photographs into a local Lightroom catalog that I had on my MacBook. It wasn't my real one, it wasn't my big one. I was able to edit a few photographs and post them to social media while I was at Cades Cove. Now, that causes a problem with the brain, okay? Keeping all that straight. So when I got home, what I did was, first thing I did was I put this hard drive, this SSD drive on the computer, and I went into each one of those folders and I imported all the photographs into one folder in Lightroom catalog. It was called Smokies, okay? Everything went into one folder, all 3,600 photographs. So I had 3 different camera bodies and 3 different folders on this drive that I imported first. Being that I forgot to format my cards after the second day, I had duplicate files. There's a checkbox in Lightroom you can check. It says, do not import suspected duplicates. So I did that, and when I put the card in, all the files that were already in the catalog from this device showed up as duplicates. Only the ones that I had shot that were on this card that were not copied to this were imported. So I forgot to format these cards after the second day, and I had several days of shooting in both locations, okay? So I just took care of it that way. In the future, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be diligent, and I'm going to copy these cards onto this drive right here and make sure I format the cards either that evening or the next morning and shoot from a clean card. That way there's no chance of getting some duplicate files or getting goofed up or whatever, okay? I know it's very confusing, and it's worse when you have 3 camera bodies that you're fooling with, okay? It ain't so bad if you're just dealing with one, but it's harder. So instead of separating my, my photographs into separate catalog folders, I put them all into one folder called Smoky Mountains, you know, whatever the date was. So all 3,600 were in there, okay? And then what I do is I just fix them up with keywords, okay? I go through and I'll look at all the bear pictures, because most of those, like that bear I did the first day, was all done the same time. So I just went in and tagged them all, you know, Control A or Command A on your keyboard and tagged them all, and then went into keywords and put in bear for one keyword and then Cades Cove for the second keyword. And then if I had some turkeys, I tagged all them, went into my keywords, put in turkey, comma, and then the second keyword was Cades Cove. So I could search using my metadata. I could search on the text box and just say, show me all the bear pictures that are in this folder. Even though there's 3,600 pictures in here, show me all the bear pictures, okay? And I'm going to go into Lightroom in a little bit and demonstrate that. But let me take a break from talking for a minute, and let me show you the next photograph that I produced, okay? And this is a landscape photograph that I did. So we're going to bring up the video and play that right now. I'm up here in Cades Cove in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And Cades Cove is known for its wildlife, okay? And that's what a lot of people come here to see, is bear and deer and turkey and what have you. Myself, I like a variety of what Cades Cove has to offer. Just like this morning. It rained all night. It's not raining now, okay? It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. We have atmosphere, okay? So what I've done is I've set up here at a place, it's got a special name. I don't even know what the name is. I'll try to find out and let you know in the video. But it has a great big panoramic view of the valley, okay? And what I'm gonna do is I've set up my tripod, and I have a pano head on my tripod. This is a BH 55 ball head from Really Right Stuff with the pano head attachment. So I don't have to worry about leveling the tripod, okay? All I have to do is level the pano head and then attach the camera to it. Now I'm using the Nikon Z6 II, okay? And I'm using the 24 to 120 f4 S-line lens. I've got it set for 50 millimeters. I feel like that panoramic shots like this, when you have good technique and your tripod is set up correctly, that 50 millimeters gives you the best photograph and the least amount of distortion, okay? So my base settings here, okay, are of course it's ISO 100, okay, that's the basement for this camera, the Z6 II. I'm at f8 at 1/100th of a second, okay? Now, what I like about the BH55 pano ball head is it has degree increments along its base right here. So what I like to do is I turn my
when I shoot a pano, I don't look at, you know, overlapping this and this. I do it by degrees, okay? And what I do is I turn my pano head 15 degrees each time I take a photograph. In this particular instance, I am bracketing each shot, okay? And it would be, let me tell you what it's going to be. It's going to be one stop over and one stop under bracket, okay? So this will be a what they call a pano, HDR pano, okay, when you get ready to put it in your computer. So each shot will have 3 photographs, and then I move 15 degrees and keep doing that. I have a tree right here. I think you can see it. Let me turn the camera just a little bit. There's a tree right here for my foreground interest, and there's a path leading down around the tree. Now, what I'm going to do is just turn my camera and look. Yes, the path will be shown, okay? And I'm going to start my shot over here at the far end of this ridge in this valley over here. And of course, you got a lot of cloud inversions coming off the valley there. So this ought to be a pretty good shot, so pretty good photograph. So let me get going here and get busy. Now, what I like to do is I like to set my 2-second timer, okay, to take 3 photographs for me when I push the button when I'm doing HDR or bracketing shots. Okay, that is all my shots for this. I'm just going to review those on the screen and make sure. Now, one of the things you'll have to do is when you do the bracketing, when you combine the photographs, is you'll have to make sure you turn on low-level deghosting, because you do have some movement with these inversion of clouds. I don't know how much of that will really matter. Okay, the sun is trying to peek through the clouds up here. That could make for an interesting and dramatic shot. One key element here in photographing a panorama is that you absolutely get your camera level. I'm using this ball head, so it's really easy for me to do. So sometimes you have to use the legs of the tripod to get level, okay? But in my instance, I don't have to do that. I did move my camera a little bit, so I did have to recenter the pano head. I mean, you know, re-level it, not center it. Always take a little bit more shots than when you actually need or you think you need for the pano. You can always omit those from your process where you combine the images. You can always omit those at the end and not have it so wide. Anyway, that's a pretty cool shot. I'm going to stand here for a minute and stay set up just in case the sun was to do something right there. It's trying to come through the clouds, so maybe I could get some light on the landscape. By the way, I'm pretty much got my horizon line level with the landscape versus the sky, and I'm focusing just slightly below the horizon line with my lens, okay? When you come to a place like Cades Cove, you have to explore the beauty of the whole area. You know, it's okay to be zeroed in on your landscape photography or your wildlife photography, but I think you need to kind of be diverse and look at everything. This is a magical time of year. This is the month of April, and the trees are all blooming with flowers and what have you. The greenery on the landscape is really vibrant because it's got young growth. As it gets farther into summer and what have you, the greens get a little darker in hue, but this is just a magical time of year.
So there was a shot I did, landscape shot, a pano shot, and I'm going to show you the photograph I produced now, okay, of that panorama. And this is how it turned out. This has been processed in Lightroom. This was a 7-shot panorama done vertically with the 24 to 120 f4 lens on the Z6 II, with the lens set at 50 millimeters. I think it ended up being 51 millimeters, but somewhere around 50 millimeters, okay? Thank you, Rodney. So this, you know, this is a nice panorama shot that you can produce, and you can take this photograph anywhere, okay, you're at, anywhere. Looking at a scene like this, this particular overlook, at Cades Cove is very popular. There's a big parking area behind where I'm standing here. And it's a huge scene, okay? And you cannot capture the whole scene with one lens. I don't care what lens you have. The 14 to 30, it would not even do it, okay? So your only choices are, if you want to show the whole scene, is to go vertical with your camera. And the key thing to get out of that video I just told you about is get your camera level, okay? It has to, in order to produce the best results and make it easy for you to combine these images in Photoshop, you have to get your camera level, okay? You know, having the pano ball head option on the Really Right Stuff BH55 ball head that I have makes it a lot easier to do that, because you don't have to level the sticks, okay? Those don't have to be level. Because the pano head, and the way the pano head works, so what it is the top of the ball head actually has another axis on it that rotates, okay? If you can get the ball level, that's all you got to get. You don't have to worry about being level with the tripod. It's a lot more difficult to level your tripod only than it is to use a pano ball head, okay? Some of the Acrotech ball heads, they're really unique, okay? I have an Acrotech ball head on my normal tripod, not my big tripod, my other one, my Leo Photo. But you can turn the ball head upside down on the mount. They unscrew and rescrew it back on, and now you have a pano head if you want it, okay? I don't shoot with that ball head that way, but it's designed that way. He even has the degree numbers laser etched in there, so you can do the same thing I just did with the BH55 ball head. And even he even claims that his ball head, his Acrotech GP ball heads, are like a gimbal. You can flip the ball head over on its side, and it'd be like a Wimberley sidekick, I guess they call it. And you mount your camera lens on it, and you can slide your lens back and forth to get it balanced, and then you can turn it like this, and then his base unscrews so it goes horizontally and vertically. So the Acrotech ball head, I'm a big fan of it. I've had my Acrotech ball head for about 5, maybe 6 years. I beat the hell out of it. It's really nice because it's an all open construction. Let's look at one real quick. Let me pull it up here so you can see it. Let's see, Acrotech. I paid more for my Acrotech ball head. Let's see, it's not that one. It's not that one. It's not that one. It's this GXP ball head with lever clamp. Here it is right here. Now, this is a cool thing, okay? Look how that ball is wide open, okay? You can take and put that under the sink and clean it, okay? You can't do that to any other ball head that I know of, all right? This is a newer model than mine. This one's $560. I think I paid about $450 for mine. We'll see a few more pictures here. Very simplistic design, solid as a rock. You put your camera on there and crank that sucker down. I don't have the lever clamp on mine. This one has a lever clamp. Mine's got the screw clamp. We'll see if they offer that one at a cheaper price. But this is, you know, now if you look down here, this is what I'm talking about right here. You take this plate off. It's held on with a Allen wrench screw. You unscrew that, put this piece right here that I'm pointing to at the mouse. I don't know if you can see that or not. Put that on your tripod. Put this plate on the other end where this ball head is. And now you have a pano ball head, okay? I hope you can see that while I'm doing my cursor. Anyways, it's pretty cool. Let's see if he's got one a little cheaper here. That's a GXP. I don't have the SS, but this one is cheaper. Now, Thomas Heaton, if you watch Thomas Heaton, you can't see it. Wait a minute, what's going on here? Hold on, Woody. Okay, thank you for telling me that. Hold on, let me pull that back up. I know why you can't see it. That's why you can't see it. I wasn't reading my comments. Thanks, Woody. Anyways, we're going to start a bit and look at this again. This one right here, the GXP ball head, is the one I was just showing you. Okay, hopefully you can see it now. I'll wait for it to catch up here. I clicked the wrong button. Anyways, it's wide open. The ball can be cleaned with water. This one here happens to be the lever lock, the quick lock. I have that quick lock on my Really Right Stuff ball head, but I'm not a big fan of those. And I was showing you here earlier, let me get to a better picture right here. So what you can do is you can take this piece here off the plate. It unscrews from this section here. Turn the ball head upside down, screw this piece onto your tripod, and then put that lever piece on top of the pano part here. And now it's a pano head, okay? That's the way he explains that, okay? It's pretty unique ball head. And like I said, I've had mine for 5 or 6 years. When I bought it, I had more money in my ball head than I did my tripod, okay? That just tells you something right there. This one right here, this Acrotech long lens head, I believe this is the same one that Thomas Heaton is using, and probably Hudson Henry, I think, might be using this. I'm not sure. I think Hudson's a big Kirk Enterprise guy, but I know Thomas Heaton was using one of these, and I believe Nick Page might have been using one of these at one time. This kind of works the same way. I think it's more heavy duty, but I'm not too sure. You know, it's made for long lenses. There's a picture right there, you know, of a long Canon lens on it. And I think you're just a little more heavy duty, okay? They'll hold more weight. Supports lens as long as 600 millimeter f4. A good product, good company. They've been around for a long time. They're made, I'm pretty sure they're made in California, unless they went overseas. I doubt they did. Yeah, those are nice. They are nice, Rodney. Yeah, so anyways, let me get back over here where I was. Here I am, okay. Yeah, so, you know, having that ball head, that BH55 ball head, that was an investment too. You know, a lot of people, we talk about this a lot, you know, a lot of people have tripods that are inexpensive or what have you, okay? You're putting thousands of dollars of camera equipment on a, you know, a $100 tripod or a $50 or $75 tripod. I say you need to spend as much on a tripod and a ball head as you are on a camera body, okay? And I have probably got enough in tripods and ball heads and 2 camera bodies. So I have a Robus 5580 pair of sticks that'll go up to about 7 feet tall. Let's go look at that real quick. I told you this was going to be a long episode tonight. Let's look at the Robus. Which one do I have? I have the RC 5570. Is that mine? Yeah. Yeah. No, that's not it. Well, let's just find out. I bought it from B&H. Let's go find it somewhere. I probably had it since about 2022. Let's go back and look. No, not in 2022. Let's look at 2023. See when I bought it here. Now, I bought the Leofoto. I have this one here, the Leofoto LS524 Ranger Series tripod I bought with the head. They do not sell that model anymore, but it cost me, that set of sticks cost me $399 with a Leofoto ball head on it that I repurposed for something else. Let me go back here and see. I think I bought that Robust long before that one. Let's see, what year are we at? 2023? Must have been 2021. Somewhere in here. Load more. Maybe that's what I didn't do. Got to load more. No, it's not. It wasn't in 2021. 2020. I can't remember what year I bought it in now. Anyways, it was a Robust. Here it is. This is the one I got. The Robust RC 5570 Vantage Series 3 carbon fiber tripod I bought on February the 15th of 2020. So here it is 5 years later. $479 for this tripod. Let's see if they're still selling it. They're now selling it for $550. Still selling it, okay? The specs are right here. Load capacity 55 pounds. Maximum height, this is what I got it for, 70.1 inches, okay? That's way over my head, okay? Gets the camera way up there. Its folded length is 25 inches, which is a little bit longer than a travel type or a smaller tripod. The weight of the tripod is 5.6 pounds. That's pretty hefty, okay? I have carried it in the woods before. I have carried it to waterfalls. And one of the reasons I got it was well, first off, Nick Page was such a good salesman. But second off, when I'm out in the mountains and I'm doing like waterfall photography and stuff, how many waterfalls do you know that come out on flat ground? Not many. You're usually on a steep hillside, okay? And so what you want to do is you want to be able to have a tripod that you can put the legs down long in front of you, you know, on a hillside, and still be able to kind of keep the tripod level on this hillside. So having a tripod with those long legs on it lets you do that. And this really is a good set of sticks for long lenses. I use it with the BH55 ball head. I've used it with my Movo gimbal head, which is right here on the shelf. Let me show you that thing. This is my $99 gimbal head, okay, that I got from Movo. Works pretty good, all right. I just don't use it very often because I prefer to use the BH55, but it's Arca Swiss, $99. This is the aluminum version, okay. I didn't opt for the carbon fiber. The carbon fiber is about twice the money. But anyways, you can put that on that Robust set of sticks, and you've got a pretty heavy-duty tripod, okay? I put, when I was out with that bear for 10 hours, I used the Robust tripod. I had the Z8 and the 180-600 mounted on it all day long, sat there in front of me. You know, using the BH55 ball head, you've got about 3 or 4 knobs you got to turn. That's another thing. Try to get familiar with your ball head before you have to really use it, because it turns and what have you. So, you know, the base of it turns and the pano head turns too. It kind of messes with your mind a little bit, you know. But yeah, Joe says his main tripod is a Gitso tripod with the Acrotech head. I've had it for at least 10 years and still works like new. Money well spent. You're exactly right. I never got into a Really Right Stuff tripod or a Gitso tripod. I just really, you know, $500-600 is about my limit for a tripod. That being said, you know, the Really Right Stuff BH55 ball head is with the pano feature on the top and the quick release. It's like the full Cadillac here is like $700. Let's go look at that real quick. I think it's like $700 while we're talking about tripods and ball heads. Let's see, BH55s. Yeah, So this is the lever release one for 560, but it's not the pano. Here's the pano one right here. This is it. This is the monkey right here. $715, okay? And I probably paid about that for mine, okay? You can get it in different flavors here. The release, you can get the full screw knob. It's a little cheaper, $520, but this doesn't have the pano head, okay? The pano head to me is important. What's this right here? Special order. Yeah, special order. Yep. So this is the ball head that I use on that Robust tripod. So that pano head, see how they got the degrees etched in? It makes it so much nicer, you know, when you're wanting to do a pano. See the leveling bubble on the top up here? So, you know, it makes it so much nicer to, you know, for some reason, this looks like it's missing something. Let's see here. Is it? No, it's right. Yeah, it's correct. You level this part, the ball, and with this bubble level, and then the panel part turns to the top. The base of it also rotates. See the numbers down here? But that's no good if you're doing panos. To me, it's not. Not unless your tripod's completely level, your sticks. If your sticks are completely level, then yeah, that's okay. But you know, so having those tripods and ball heads that you need to hold this big equipment is equally as important. So you do the math between the ball head and the set of sticks, the Robust sticks. There's $1,200 invested in that. Okay, if you had to go buy it today, it's still over $1,000. What is a set of Gitzo sticks? I think the sticks alone are $1,000. Really Right Stuff sticks, they're over $1,000 too. So a lot of it depends on your budget. Now the Leo Photo Ranger tripod that I use, I love that thing, okay? It's carbon fiber. I use it for the Z6 II. Anything landscape, like, you know, not pano stuff, but just regular landscape stuff. I throw it in the back of the truck. It's always there with me. You know, it's still about, you know, $400 if you had to buy it. It was $399 when I bought it several years ago. So it's still $400. It did include the ball head. I took the ball head off and repurposed it and put the Acrotech on there. So there you got about $800 in a tripod. So I just said earlier, you should spend as much on your tripod and ball head as a camera body. And that's what I've done pretty much. Not a Z8 camera body, but you know. Anyways, let's see, where are we at here? Okay, I got one more quick video to show you. Then we're going to do a few Lightroom things where almost about 20 minutes will be 2 hours. I'm feeling like that guy with the Christmas lights. What's his name? Peter Gregg. He gets on there for about 3 or 4 hours at a time. So I did another little video here, and I'm going to show it to you real quick. About 4 years ago, I was up here in Tremont doing photography, and back then, it might have been 5 years ago. Back then, might have been 6 years ago. I was using my Nikon D7500 with my 12-24 f4 lens, and it started to rain, and I came out on the road to this bridge right here, and it was raining pretty hard, and I noticed this scene right off the side of the road. So I pulled off almost in the exact same spot that I'm parked here now, and another guy had pulled up near me, and he had an umbrella and I had an umbrella. We both set up here, and we were shooting this scene right here, okay? And I remember that he had a Nikon Z6, and he was from Florida. So that just goes to tell you how long ago it was. This is the second time that I've visited this location, and I'm gonna take you up here and show you what composition I've chose for this. I just thought I'd tell you that backstory. Okay, we're gonna focus on the rock, which is my foreground interest, and we'll take the first series. I'm gonna go about a midway up in the scene with my focus point, just a little bit above the horizon level. Take my next three shots, I'm sorry, of this set.
And then we're going to focus all the way in the back, okay? All the way up the hill. It's a pretty fair distance between here and the back. It's probably, I'm going to say it's anywhere from 75 to 100 feet to the back of this. So that's why I chose to do a focus stack series on these. And that was the last of the series. I'm going to hold my 3 fingers up and take pictures of those. Now when I get home and put this in Lightroom, I'm going to be able to tell which series I want here. Now I'm going to do this one more time at f8, okay? And then I'm going to compare those 2 images in the computer and see if there's any difference in that, okay? With f8, I'm able to change my shutter. Let's do this. Let's go to f8. I'm able to reduce my shutter speed or increase my shutter speed, whatever you want to think, to have not such a long shutter. So at f11, my base shutter speed was 2 seconds. Now it's down to 1 second, okay? So that means I'm gonna have 1 shot at 1 second, 1 shot at 2 seconds, and 1 shot at a half a second, because I'm doing the bracketing of 1 stop, okay? We're gonna come back to here and we're gonna start again. We're gonna focus on the foreground, hold up 2 fingers. And I'll be able to tell which is the f8 and the f11 by looking at the metadata in Lightroom. Okay, and we're going to take the first shot and we'll be able to see the differences in the water texture, okay? Ideally for something like this, excuse me, a half a second is a good shutter speed. I'm doing it a little bit longer than that. We're going to focus on the mid-ground, take the next 3 shots. And then we're going to focus on the background way up there. Now I've got my touch screen set up so I can move the focus point but not take a picture or focus. It just moves the focus point. I prefer to hit the back button focus myself and focus on my own. So there are the 2 bracketed shots of this, and I'm going to process those and we're going to compare which one looks better to you in the video.
So I was shooting this scene, okay, and I didn't expend a whole lot of energy, obviously, to get to it. And I decided to do a comparison. I was really trying out the 24 to 120, and I really love using that lens. I took the 14 to 30 with me, but I left it in the bag, okay? I didn't need it. The 24 to the 120 was great, okay? It's a very sharp lens. It does not have VR, but that's okay. It's such a short lens, you don't really need the VR. I mean, shoot, we used to shoot with VR before there was VR. What did we do? You know, we shot, okay? But anyways, I shot this scene, oh gosh, 6 years ago maybe. And I did meet a guy there. I had a D7500 and a 12-24. I did meet a guy there. On the way out, I was getting ready to go home. I'd been up there camping for 3 or 4 days, and he had a brand new Z6 when they first came out. That's how long ago it was. And I was just intrigued by this camera he had, the Z6. So he could see the live thing on the back and all this kind of crazy stuff, you know. I didn't buy one of those, but, you know. Peter Gregg did a 7-hour live stream a few years ago. What do you talk about for 7 hours? I mean, I'm impressed that I've almost got 2 hours in, but I knew this was going to be a long show. But anyways, what I want to do is I want to take you into Lightroom now, and I want to talk about Lightroom a little bit. That's all the videos and all the pictures. No, I have one picture to show you. I forgot to show you this picture, okay? This picture right here was the one where I was eating the, did I show you this picture? I don't remember. I think I did. Well, Rodney, thank you very much. Holy cow, somebody sent me $5. Hey, there's some coffee for me. And I did have a $5 cup of coffee while I was on this vacation. It's in my shorts. But anyways, this was the church scene. I think I did show this to you already, now that I think about it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run over to Lightroom now, and we're going to work on a few photographs over there. And you missed this one, Rodney. It was on here before you got on here. We talked about this one. Woody, that's the first time I've ever seen it. I've never paid attention to stuff like that. Okay, my friend Bill showed me a photograph he took of it. I said, "Where did you get that at?" And he told me where he was. I said, "I'm gonna go get the same picture because I think that's a cool picture. I'm just gonna copy you. In fact, why don't you just give me your picture?" But I did actually take this one, different scene. But anyways, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run over to Lightroom real quick. And we're gonna talk about that a little bit. Let me get that fired up here. And first I want to talk about what has happened to Lightroom, okay? They have come up with an update this week if you're a Lightroom user, okay? And let's just take this photograph right here. This one here has not been edited one iota, okay? Now, when I import my photographs into Lightroom, my import process, I have a preset that I made myself set up. It does 4 things, okay? First thing it does is right here under the Basic tab. It applies a profile called Adobe Standard. That is a profile. You can click on that and look at all the different ones that are there. But these are mostly the way the color is rendered and what have you from your raw file. You can change this at any time you want. I use Adobe Standard for my stuff. The other thing is I zero out sharpening, okay? If you'll notice here under details, my sharpening is zeroed out. By default, Lightroom will apply sharpening to images, okay, as they come in. I don't know if you know this or not, but try it yourself. Import an image, and the next time you import it, go into the detail tabs and look. It will apply sharpening to it. I zero that out because I want to be in control of my sharpening, okay, not Lightroom. The other thing I do is down here under lens correction, I go ahead and click the remove chromatic aberration and enable profile corrections, lens profile corrections. Those are the 4 things I have my preset do. When you set this preset, this is for another video, I can't go over this tonight, but when you set this preset up, okay, you need to make sure that everything else is zeroed out in your photograph because you don't want to have things showing up that you don't want in there. You've got to make sure you're very specific and your photograph is at what we call it 0. It's a 0 raw file. And then you set it up. Anyway, so just make sure that your sharpening is turned off in that. So what I want to show you is what's new this week in Lightroom. They have come up with a new profile. It's under the Basic tab, under Profile. You go in here. Good night, Woody. Talk to you later. You go under this profile right here, and they come up with a new one called Adaptive Color, okay? I'm going to click on that, all right? First, here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a virtual copy of this photograph, okay? So let me create a virtual copy and go over here to, can I do it from here? Yes. I'm going to right-click on the picture and say Create Virtual Copy. Now we're on copy number 1 if you look up here, and let's create another one and it'll be called copy number 2. So now I have 3 virtual copies. This is the original, this is a copy, and this is a copy. On copy number 2, we're going to select adaptive color, okay, and watch what Lightroom does now. This is all brand new this week, okay. See what it did to the photograph? Now we're going to go to the other copy, copy number 1, and we're going to do what I normally do, okay? And what I normally do is I use the Adobe Standard profile, which is my import preset, but I click on Auto. Now I want you to look at the differences here. This is the adaptive color. This is my auto setting. Adaptive color. Auto setting. Look at the shadows, how it lifts the shadows, especially around the tree. This is the adaptive color, and this is my auto setting, okay? I think it does a fairly good job here, but there is a but, okay? The but is this. I have tried this on several photographs from my trip this week, and there's been a few times it did something really weird to the photograph. I don't know what it was, but I didn't like what it did. And I can't tell you what was wrong and why it did it, okay? Now, one of the things the adaptive color does, we're still looking at the adaptive color photograph, is you have a strength up here. If you look right under the profile, up here at the top right-hand corner, it has an amount. You can increase the amount. I'm gonna increase it to 200. You can decrease the amount, okay? Why you'd wanna do that, I'm not sure, but 100 is the default. Okay, we're gonna type that back in. There's a little icon here that says learn more. So it'll take you out to the Adobe site and you can read all about adaptive color, okay, all that you want, all right? But we're not gonna do that. You can read that on your own, but there is, if you're a Lightroom user, there is a button right there that says learn more, and you can provide feedback, okay, which is something cool too, okay? Anyways, here's what Adobe cautions you on. Do not use the adaptive color profile and clicking on the auto button, okay? I'm not too sure what they mean by that. We can try that right here and see. I'm gonna click on auto on this adaptive color version. For best results, avoid using auto and adaptive profiles together. So you can either cancel that or continue. I'm gonna continue and see what happens. Ooh, it looks weird, don't it? Here's the auto one that I didn't normally do. And here's the adaptive color with auto. We're gonna hit reset, okay? And put the adaptive color back in there. It did some weird things to the skin tones and stuff, okay? So it's your choice whether you use this or not. You can try this on some of your images. You know, this one here might be something different. Let's look at this image right here. This one has got, if you look, it's got settings applied to it. This is a picture of a bear that was sleeping. This is with the Z8 and the 180 to 600, top left-hand corner up here where my mouse is, ISO 11,400. Yeah, thank you, Rodney, for smashing the like button. And it has not been denoised. Can you see that? I can. Haven't done nothing to it except apply the auto button. I'm gonna hit the reset button and start all over again. And what we're going to do is, before I hit adaptive color, I'm gonna take the noise out of the photograph. Now there's a couple of schools of thought here about denoising. You can denoise before you edit the photograph, or do you denoise after you edit the photograph? There's a whole lot of conversations about that. Personally, I have not seen where it really matters a whole lot, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead under details and I'm gonna click the denoise button. And being that this is 11,400 ISO, if you look right up here in the top left-hand corner, it tells you that. I'm gonna use the amount of 65, okay? And I usually stay around 50 to 75, okay? Just depends on how I feel about it. We're gonna let denoise work for a second. That's something about live broadcast. You can't skip forward and, you know, you got to let the computer work. Okay, this is the denoise version, okay? And I've got it here. I'm going to put it up full screen, okay? I would say that it's probably, I don't know, I can't tell. It looks a little bit soft here in the face, but not bad. I think it'll fix up pretty nicely. If you look back here, it's at the rear legs, okay? Full screen at 100%. Right here, I'm gonna take away your distraction so you can see the whole thing. You know, there's a lot of detail here, okay, in this fur, okay? Looks like he's been in the water, don't it? Anyways, what we're gonna do is, this photograph's been denoised. I'm gonna go up here to the basic tab and I'm gonna click on adaptive color, okay? What do you think of that? Okay, what I need to do, let me reset that a second. let's create a virtual copy. So we got one to play with. And we'll make a second virtual copy. That's what's nice about virtual copies. You can play with the settings compared to another setting and decide which one you like the best. So we're going to take copy number 1 and we're going to use adaptive color on it. And then we're going to take copy number 2. Yes, copy number 2. And we're going to do auto on that. So this is adaptive color. And this is my auto. Now in this instance, personally, I like the auto, okay? Let's look at that again. This is adaptive color. I think the shadows get lifted more in my auto color, okay? So I'm gonna go with that one. That's the one I'm going to use. Let's look at his face again, okay? Let's see if we give a little bit of sharpening to that. And I've got sharpening presets set up, okay? And anytime that y'all have a suggestion for a video on how to do something I'm doing in Lightroom, you want more detailed instructions, I am more than willing to do a video on that stuff, okay? Sometimes I just need ideas, that's all. I'm gonna use medium sharpening. If I just hover over that, you'll see it change, okay? I'm gonna hover over medium, watch his face now. And let's try heavy. I think heavy's nice, but I think it's too much, okay? Let's use the medium, okay? That's at 100%. Now, if you was gonna post this to social media or Instagram or even Flickr, okay, is anybody gonna really notice anything, okay? I think there's a lot of detail right here in this fur. This was shot at f8, which, by the way, thanks to Phil, Thatch, yeah, who told me, he looked it up on Photography Life, that this lens, the sharpest aperture was f8, not 6.3. On the 500 PF, the sharpest is 5.6. I believe on the 200 to 500 Nikon, the sharpest is 5.6. Rodney says he's cheap. I'm the one that should be cheap. I'm the one that's retired. Anyways, this is a cool picture, okay? I shot this at 540 millimeters, so it was almost at 600. What I like to do is apply a crop to this because this is a lot of distraction around here. So let's just go ahead and put a crop on this right now. I'm gonna leave it at the original size and let's just crunch it all the way down and get rid of most of the shit. I said shit, didn't I? Okay, there's a lot of distraction right here, but you know, sometimes you can't help that. This is a better crop. How can you deny a bear? How can you deny that face, okay? It's almost like a puppy dog. They look so harmless, okay? They really do. And, you know, it's funny, they're kind of used to people being around them, okay? This is a yearling, okay? He's not a very big bear, okay? I've seen several yearlings when I was there, so this is a different one. Anyways, back to this. I think the adaptive color did not work with this. So what I suggest you do, if you want to play with these and see if you like them or not, I've used auto for years and adjusted things manually myself. Like right here under presence, let me zoom in right here. I'm going to increase the texture slider. Watch the fur around its eye, okay? I'm going to increase that. I'm going to really crank it up so you can see the difference, okay? See the difference in that? Normally I'll give it about 25 on the texture, and just depends on how much contrast I want to add. If I put any clarity into it, you know, clarity will introduce some little noise, so maybe just a little bit of clarity, okay? Still not a bad photograph. Pretty sharp, okay? Look at that fur right there, okay? Anyways, you just have to try these new Lightroom things out. So I just wanted to show you that in Lightroom. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over here, and I've got, I want to show you these waterfall pictures. Now, on I'm going to work on one set right here, the green set, and I've color coded them so it's easy for me to isolate the photographs. So what we're looking at here is a bracketed shot of this waterfall. And it's also focus stacked, okay? The bear picture, you want me to print it, Rodney? Well, I'll do that. I'll take it down to Walgreens. In fact, I'll take all my bear pictures down to Walgreens and try them out and see how they work, okay? And if they turn out good at Walgreens, I'll send them off to my print house, okay? Anyways, this is a 3-shot series, okay? Because it's focus stacked. It's focused in 3 different places. So each focus point is bracketed, okay? So this is how you do this. This is how you shoot this. You need to have a marking system somehow. You know, when they're doing like movies and they got the little clapper board, they clap in front, you know, you need to kind of come up with your own clapper. And this is the way I do my focus stacked HDRs, okay? I have to have a marker. So I start with 2 fingers, okay? I take a photograph, I push the shutter button, and I take the photographs. Now, just so you know, when I turn on bracketing in my camera, I tell it, you know, I want like 3 shots at 1 stop. That's 3 shots, 1 stop over, 1 stop under, and 1's normal. You can change that. On the newer cameras, you can go increments of thirds. But on the older cameras, they only let you go whole increments. Like the Z6 II, you can only go 1 stop, 2 stop, 3 stop. But on the Z8, you can go 1.3, 1.7, 2, 2.3, 2.7. You get the story. So you got more control over how much exposure you're doing. But anyhow, on what you do is you set up your camera for bracketing, and what I do is I turn on my 2-second or 5-second timer. And if you go into your camera and look under your timer, your 2-second or 5-second timer, you can set that up to take X amount of pictures. On the Z6 II, it's that way. I'm not sure if it's on the D500 like that or not. You'd have to go under the timer feature and look. So when you push the button to take your HDR photographs, your 1 stop over, 1 stop under, and normal, if you use the 2-second timer, it'll take all 3 pictures with just 1 click of the button. Okay, so I set mine up on the 2-second timer. Some people use the 5-second timer. So when you push the button and take your hand off the camera, it's going to shoot those photographs in 5 seconds, which means you eliminate some camera shake, okay? I use the 2-second one, but you know, some people use the 5-second one, okay? So that's just a little more pro tip, okay, right there. So let me go back over here to Lightroom. Black Bear Diner might like a few prints. Are they in Cades Cove? Hey, there's guys shooting better pictures than I shot, okay? I've seen some of the photographers I was with, they got better poses, you know, better shots. You know, that was just my first time, so maybe I'll get better if I go back more. So back to what we're talking about here, this HDR focus stack shot. So what that means is, you know, if in the previous video I showed you, I focused in 3 different spots because the distance, let me bring up one of the pictures here. The distance from here to here, up here, okay, at the top, is about 100 feet. So I think it's more than you can ask the lens to do from your close focusing to hyperfocal infinity focusing. I think it's a little bit more than you can ask it to do. So I like to focus stack them. So what I do is I set up my bracketing. I set up my 2-second timer to take 3 shots. I set my focus point right here on this rock. I hit the button. It takes 3 photographs. I move my focus point up here somewhere in the midsection, refocused, take 3 more shots. And then finally I go to the back, the very back here, same thing, refocus that and take 3 more shots. And what happens is I end up with, on this particular one, 9-shot bracket, HDR bracket is what it's called. Now, you notice my marker photos, they got the 2 fingers here, and then I got the 3 fingers at these last 3. So everything in between all them is good stuff, okay? Now, it's really easy to do this in Lightroom, okay? You select all 9 photographs, okay? And watch this. I'm gonna select all 9 photographs by holding down, I clicked on the first one right in the center of the picture. I hold my shift key down and click on the last one. Now, all 9 of them are selected, okay? Now, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use Lightroom to do this. Put your mouse over one of the pictures and right click. Go down to where it says Photo Merge. You have 3 options here. You have HDR, you have Panorama, and you have HDR Panorama, okay? Wait a minute, excuse me, back up, sorry about that, that's wrong. I got to take these into Photoshop, they're focus stacked, okay? So we can't do it that way. What we have to do is we have to HDR process these individually first. So I'm going to take all 3 of these right here, those 3, and now we're going to process them with Photo Merge HDR. I got ahead of myself on that. Let this process. Make sure the settings are set just like this. Click on Auto Align, unclick Auto Settings, because you're going to control that yourself. Put on Low Level De-Ghost Amount. And the reason why is there's movement in this photograph in this water. And if you don't click on the low, at least the low setting, you might see some ghosting around the water because the water is in movement, okay? So we're going to click on that and let those HDR process. I got ahead of myself on that HDR Panorama. The HDR Panorama was the one where the overlook with the tree and the trail going around the tree. It was done that way. Shot differently too. It automatically stacked those photographs, okay? If you look, it's in this stack right here. We're going to click on the next 3, holding down the Control key or the Command key on a Mac. Right click on a photograph, go to Photo Merge and do HDR. And say merge. We're doing them all the same way. And it stacked those, and then we're going to do these 3 right here, and we'll be done. Photo Merge HDR. So this is a very detailed instructions how to do this. When I get done with this video and it processes tomorrow, I'm going to put chapters in the description so you can kind of flip around and come back to this and watch this part if you don't know how to do this. Okay, it has processed all 3 of these. The ones with the fingers now, I can get rid of those. Okay, I don't need those anymore. Those are just my markers. So I'm going to click on each one holding down the Command key or the Control key in Windows. And when I get those 6 selected, I'm going to delete them from Lightroom completely out of the catalog, okay? I'm going to go right click, go down here to remove from collection. These are in the collection. So I'm going to remove them from this collection, okay? Now I just got my 3 HDR photographs. There's this one, which is focused down here. Let that clear up. And the next one, which is focused in the midground, which is up here. Let that clear up. And then the next one is focused way back up in here, okay? Up in this area. Now what we're going to do is combine them into one photograph, focus stacked. So we're going to go into the grid view here and select all 3 of them. We're going to right click on one. We're going to go to Edit In. We're going to go not Edit in Photoshop, but all the way at the bottom, Open as Layers in Photoshop, okay? And we're going to let Photoshop lay. Now, if you don't have Lightroom and you're thinking about getting Lightroom, Photoshop comes with the photography package. You get both, okay? and it's very helpful to have both. And you can see the little wheels turning. There's the first photograph. They're in layers over here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to select all three of these by holding down the Shift key and clicking on the last one. And now that they're selected, we're going to go up here to Edit, and we're going to click on Auto Blend Layers, okay? You click on that, and you use these default options here. Stack images, seamless tones and colors, okay? That's all you need. Say OK, and it's going to combine all these images and pick out the sharpest part of each one. If you'll look now, there's a mask on each image. Everything in black is in focus. So here is, I'm sorry, everything in white, okay, is in focus. Here's your first image. It's showing the near part, which is this part right here, down in here. It's showing most of that is white, and this tree. See this tree right here? It's pretty much in this focus area. The second part is not as much, but it's mostly in this midsection right here. And then the very last photograph is all the way up here in this section, okay? Those are the areas that it's going to blend. All you have to do now is go up to Layers and say Flatten Image. That's it. When you're done, you click on File, Save. It's going to save a copy of this as a TIFF file back to Lightroom, okay? And it's done. We're going to go back to Lightroom. I'm just going to quit out of Photoshop. And this image right here, bring it up. See how it's been renamed? It's now a TIFF file, no problem. And this is now your focus stacked image. Everything is focused from the foreground through the midground up to the background, okay? And we can just go ahead and process it normally now inside of Lightroom, okay? I'm not going to go into all the processing on it, but I'll put a little sharpening on it for now. And, you know, it's pretty nice. The Z6II, 24 to 120. Look how sharp them sticks are in this moss. So that's kind of the details of how you do that. Now, this one was done at f11. Okay, I also did another shot. I'm not going to process it tonight. It's getting late, but there was another shot I did at f8 to kind of compare what the sharpest part of the lens was. But if you want to find out about your lenses and your camera gear, what have you, this one place right over here, it's called Photography Life. Let me pull that up. And if you go here to Lens Reviews, this guy has done all the work for you. Phil showed me this, okay? And you got to kind of get into it here. So let's go down here to the 24 to 120. Right here it is. And he talks about the lens, okay? And there's charts somewhere down here. He does charts, some test charts. And I don't know if y'all have used this or not. Lens comparisons he does. Okay, so if you know how to read this stuff, it tells you what the sharpest aperture is of this lens. And this is doing a comparison to the f4G lens, but it's a pretty good place to get you know, verdict. Here's his verdict. You know, check it out sometimes. Photography Life. Okay. Phil showed that to me one time. Anyways, where we at? My throat's getting dry and I'm getting tired, so I might have to just quit. That might be a good thing to do. I think that's what I want to do right now. I'm just gonna, you know, give it up. It's a lot longer than I wanted to be, 2 hours and 15 minutes. Thanks for hanging in there with me. If you have any suggestions for editing videos or anything you want to know that you want me to do, you know, go back to the chat box. My email's in there. Most of you know who I am. Or leave me a chat right here or something if you want to in this chat box. And I'll try to come up with some good content. Except Canon gear. I don't do Canon gear, Terrell. Yes, Terrell is correct, okay? Canon will do focus stacking in body. You can tell it you want 25 photos. It will start where you first focus and moves you forward. Nikon does too also, okay, it's called focus shift shooting. It does not do it in camera though. It does not combine the images for you. I know Canon does do that. You've got to bring them into Lightroom. Let's say you did a 50 shot focus stack of some flower. Well, you got to bring them in and manipulate them yourself. But I heard Canon, you're right, Canon does do it in body, which is a lot nicer feature. But anyways. Hey Rodney, thanks for the $5. Appreciate that tonight. That's my it's my second time. Okay, Tim hit me up one time with a cup of coffee deal. But yeah, I appreciate everybody, and hope you got some use out of it. And until next time, check the link in the description tomorrow of the video. I'll put a link in there to the video that's coming out next Friday. Okay, which is a car show photo walk I did today with the Z50 Mark II and the 12 to 28 lens. Okay, talk to y'all later.